welcome to NLTV.
Yes, welcome back for another exciting episode.
We have a lot of local stories. It's amazing the community that we are in. We have amazing people, even the youth. We have exciting youth that we interviewed. And you had an interesting talk with Rabbi Dr. Rafi Zaram.
Yes, indeed. It was part of the monthly rabbinic chavrusa.
Right.
But, the way the Almighty works, we always seem to get the right guests at the right time. And after the whole controversy with Rabbi Dr. Lindsay Taylor-Goodhart, we had Rabbi Dr. Zaram who addressed it. Let's go and see what he had to say.
I think this all crept up on us because of COVID. That's why things weren't so clear. I mean, it's complicated because, as orthodoxy progresses and things change, people are always very nervous about those kind of developments and changes. Female ordination it's a real issue in orthodoxy, right? If there's halachic arguments for these things or not, and there's a big debate in it, and it's been playing out in America for about 10 years. And it's a very challenging issue. And the chief rabbi felt very strongly that he wants to follow what he called mainstream orthodoxy, which is, a direct result of things done by the OU in America, which I'm sure you're very aware of not recognizing female ordination. And on that principle, he wanted to be very clear about that. That's not our approach of Anglo Jewry, and it's a mainstream approach. And the college at SJS is under his religious authority and is mainstream as well. And therefore, that's his opinion, and that was important. And he wanted to assert that. But at the same time, and this is why he was actually so good about it, there was a particular story which was nothing to do with huge policy of orthodoxy, which was nothing to do with America, which was about a particular teacher in our college. We teach for many, many years, and had taken this ordination in order to further her learning. And we wanted her to continue teaching at the college. And once we got talking about it, he clarified that he doesn't believe in banning people, which I think is really commendable of his approach. We want people teaching in our synagogues and our colleges who reflect our ideology, because that's what you would do. But even within that, there's a broad range. And once we clarified that, it was very clear that he was very happy for Dr. Lindsay Taylor-Goodhart, for example, to continue teaching at the college without a title and that whole issue. But it's complicated for people, and the press kind of mucked it up because, religious ordination is not the same as a degree, right? In a degree, they don't look at your personality or what kind of person you are. They just say you passed the exam, you're qualified. But I wouldn't want rabbis of our community to people who go, I've got a degree. We'd want to know that they were decent, moral, religious people, right? I mean, technically, if you think about it, you could have a rabbi who wasn't religious but passed all the exams. Do you have to call them rabbi? No, that would be ridiculous. So, obviously, ordination is different from qualification. And the JC mix, when people said, you have a level of learning. So there's a misunderstanding. Having said that, in our case, it wasn't about leading a community. It was about a scholar who wanted to keep studying. And the chief rabbi understood that when he clarified that, said, of course, carry on teaching. The sticking part was about, and he felt strongly again, and I agree with him on this issue, that a person who's taking a path different from mainstream orthodoxy shouldn't have a major role in, he saw as LSJS. But again, the position she had in academic research fellowship was a very different position. First, it's academic, and it's about research. It's not about, it's on the academic side of the college. And at this point, it became such an interesting issue because it was something that we never clarified at the college, to be honest. And that's why it kind of took us all by surprise. And we talked about it with the chief rabbi. He understood it very well, which is that, in YU and in Bar Ilan, there's a separation of the religious program, the Bet Midrash, with the academic Jewish studies. They are separate. And a very important issue in academic side is religious freedom, that you're allowed to research and say and think what you want, and anyone can do that. And all different kinds of people lecture in Bar Ilan and in Yeshiva University, in the Jewish Studies departments. And so we never made that clarity in Jews College at SJS because it's a much smaller institution. Although when you look backwards, there'd always been that approach and understanding. So when we clarified that, he said, well, if it's an academic position, then he understands why that's the case.
Now, obviously, we get to the end of the story, and I think that you presented it excellently, thank you. But obviously, it's compromise all around. Is Rabbi Dr. Goodhart, Lindsay Taylor-Goodhart, that she happy with the solution?
We're good friends. And when she came along, she said, look, the college has been good to me. We supported her PhD. She's very respectful of the college because we helped her at Harvard. And she said, look, I've done this course. I don't expect the college to recognise it because I know it's outside, but I'd like to continue teaching and I won't use the title.
Right.
And I won't be offended by not using the title because I understand that's the college. And and the chief rabbi ultimately was happy with that resolution.
And do you have any sense of how would the chief rabbi feel about Lindsay speaking here at the shul or in United Synagogues?
Well, I think, again, he wants, ideally, and I get this, in your institution, you want people reflecting the ideas and values of your institution. But we're not like Christian universities. We're not like, in other words, so in Christian universities, you can only be a professor if you sign a creedal statement that you profess, hence professor, to the ideology, the religious ideology, right, Jesus and all that stuff, of the college, right? That is not done in Bar Ilan or Yeshiva University or NSJS, and the chief rabbi does not believe in that. You have to sign up to your ideology at the door. So in that sense, he's I think very sensibly, he's open to different kinds of people. But then again, he would want the main amount of people to reflect the ideology, the mainstream orthodoxy. So occasionally, I think he would say, I don't know, you have to ask him, people who are slightly to the left or to the right, right? But in general, he want people to reflect the ideology of the college.
Right.
Wow. So it's very nuanced, apparently. Like any controversy, I think, the media seems to just like to show the exciting part, as we know with the current Netflix films going on. But, there's so many details and so many intricacies that in people's lives.
We've actually been in the news the past couple of weeks. We've been quoted as having had Diane Hull speak at the shul. Now, I want to say...
That's right. That's another example right there, right? I mean, go ahead. What did they say in the news?
Yes, I want to say very non-nuanced. Somehow, someone has reported one little piece of what Diane Hull had to say. And I want to say Yasher Koach again. Diane Hull presented very well, very cogently, a very difficult and complex situation. And I encourage anyone who wants to hear what Diane Hull really has to say, call him up, speak to him. I'm sure he would be most happy to discuss it, but it's not something that can be dealt with on one foot where one simply tunes in for 2 seconds and says, oh, Diane Hull said this. Yes, Diane Hull might have said something, but in the context of a much wider picture that made sense to those who were there.
And I think that's the mistake that people have. They think Judaism is black and white. That's how the Jews dress, right? But it's so not. There's so much gray and there's so much to work with, and nothing is just out there. Even though we do have a Shulchan Aruch that says things, but there's a lot to work with. I mean, we have.
And I want to say, kudos to the Batei Din, the London-based Din, the Federation, who are working now with MPs to try to collaborate to make sure that we can come to a viable solution, both from a legal and a halachic perspective. These sound bites that media and social media give us are really not helpful. They don't help anyone. They don't help agunas, and they don't help peace. Here we are about getting to the end of the 3 weeks and getting rid of sinas chinam, baseless hatred. And yet, all too often, people try to make stories out of things that are not stories at all.
Right, but unfortunately, that's what sells, right? The media, the Netflix, all these films, they love, drama, and they love it. And we need to, thank God for Norsley TV. You get the truth right here.
Exactly.
And, so talking about the truth, we have incredible people in our community that have done incredible things. But first, let's go to the Jewish Canon. We're going to continue on with the Anglo-Jewish Canon at HGSS. And this week we turn to Clive Lawton, who suggests a very interesting book.
Well, hello everybody. I've been asked to add my tuppenny worth to the Hampstead Garden Suburb Shul's additions to the Jewish Canon. Of course, there are fabulous collection of books on that already, and so I'm not going to select any of those. But the one I'm going to recommend to you is this one. It's called On the Eve, as you can see, The Jews of Europe Before the Second World War. It's by Bernard Wasserstein, and it's published by Profile Books. It's a big fat volume, as you can see, big fat thing. And it is an outstanding description of the Jews of Europe before the Holocaust. The entire story stops on the 3rd of September when the Second World War breaks out. And what I found so fascinating about it, and it covers all the different corners of Europe, what I found so fascinating was the corrective to the idea somehow that the Jews kind of sat passively or didn't know what to do or whatever. It was a very dynamic Jewish community, and it explains why it was just so very difficult for Jews to find a way out. I found it compelling. It's very nicely written, so very easy to read. It ranges, as I say, in the various different arenas of Europe and European Jewry. And it takes us to this period of time, the 1930s or so, that we don't know very much about. You know, what did German Jewry do in Nazi Germany as it unfolded? What did happen in Holland or France or Poland or whatever? This spells it out, and it's, I think, a very telling and inspiring story about the vigour and determination of the Jewish community. Alas, of course, mostly coming to nothing, but that's a separate story. So, if you read it, I hope you enjoy it, and I'm recording this on a Friday afternoon, so I wish you all Shabbat Shalom.
Well, thank you, Clive. It's wonderful to have you. Normally we have you each year at the Suda series. Unfortunately, we won't get to hear from you this year, but at least we got to hear from you on NLTV, and
yes,
hopefully looking forward to hearing you in future years at the Suda series.
Right.
Should we see
So so Clive recommends this on the eve. You know, a lot of people focus on the Holocaust, on the stories about the Holocaust and what happened during the Holocaust, and of course we hear from the survivors. But this book is all about what happened before, the life before the Holocaust, how people were living regular lives. So it's quite interesting, and I actually look forward to reading it. So thank you, Clive, for that insight.
Yeah, I will note that the Meshech Chacham, Rabbi Meir Simcha of Dvinsk, 40 years before the Holocaust, he says, there will come a time when people will think of Berlin as Jerusalem. They will think there's no need for redemption. We live in Berlin. And Rahman al-Islam, may God have mercy upon his people. Look at what happened. That was almost a minor prophecy to be able to know that we are not safe anywhere until the coming of Mashiach. And this is what we were davening for. We were davening for every day, but particularly on Tisha B'Av.
Absolutely. So we turn now to one of our youth in our community who recently had her bat mitzvah in the shul, Amelie Haffner, who did something special for her bat mitzvah. She did a presentation at the end of her learning period and about a woman, on an inspirational woman. And she chose Dr. Edith Eger and did a PowerPoint presentation on the choice. Incredible book, incredible woman, and such an inspiration to such young people. It's really so inspiring to see. So we have some of her presentation here and her definite have how and why she recommends this book. So let's go over to Amelie.
Welcome, Amelie Haffner, to NLTV. Thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful. You know, you just recently celebrated your bat mitzvah. It was so beautiful. You did a Kabbalat Shabbat so beautifully in shul, had a women's Kabbalat Shabbat, and followed by your Dvar Torah. And it was really so lovely to be able to be and celebrate together. And I know you had a very special presentation that you did as part of your learning for your bat mitzvah. You chose a special book to report on called The Choice by Edith Eger. And I invited you on to NLTV because, you know, we do recommend different books. And this is our first, youth that recommends a book. So it's really an honor for you to join us here. We're very excited that you're here. So can you please tell us, how about you do the presentation and tell us a little bit about why you chose this book?
I'm going to talk about the book I read and what it taught me. I did this PowerPoint for my Matan Siyum and for my Bat Mitzvah learning in May. I asked my group What do you see? So group mentioned and said that she looks like she's elegant, happy, she's got kind eyes, and she looks wise. I explained to them that she's 94 years, she lives and works in LA, and she's a doctor of psychology. What you don't see, however, is she was in Auschwitz most of her teenage life. Edith taught me that even in hell, hope can flower. I want to share Edith's story, lessons from her first book, The Choice. This is the book that I read for my bat mitzvah. About Edith's early life in Hungary. Left picture is her as a gymnastics practicing before the war because she got kicked out of her gymnastics because she was a Jew, and then she joined a book club and met her first boyfriend. This is Europe 1944, Hungary, Corsica. So she lived just under Budapest in Corsica in Hungary, and the lines represent the train, how the trains got to Auschwitz, and she got on a cattle train to Auschwitz, and that's how she got there. This represents the first bit of the book, and I call this part hell. Edith says in the book, we are born to love, we learn to hate. It's up to us what we reach for. This represents the last bit of the book. The day after her friend died, hope had kept her going. When her hope died, she did too. This slide represents kindness in the book. Near the end of the war, Edith and her other prisoners were moved to Austria, where she had to march most of the way there. Edith was weak, thin, and malnourished. If she stopped, she would be shot. Things were so bad that she has to eat grass to survive. She was exhausted and fell, but then a fellow prisoner whom she had shared her bread with when she danced for Mengele risked her life to pick her up and helped her to walk. This saved her. She finally collapsed and was thought to be dead, but on May 4, 1945, a young American soldier noticed her hand moving slightly amongst a number of dead bodies. In 1949, Edith and Bella fled to the United States because of anti-Semitism, leaving everything behind them. Magda also went to the United prison. She decided to ask herself not why did she live, but what am I to do with the life I have been given? Edith went to the university when they could finally afford it, and in 1969 she received her degree in psychology from the University of Texas. She has appeared on many TV programs, including CNN and the Oprah Winfrey Show. We can't change what has happened, but we can choose how we live. No one can ever take that away from us. We each have to work on what we are here for. Edith chose to do that. Kindness and mitzvot bring about more kindness.
Wow, Amelie, that was really something very special, so moving. Title. Why do you think she chose the title The Choice?
I think because it's like she chose to, like her mom told her no one can change what you put in your mind, and she really did choose to believe that, and it kept her going the whole time she was in the camp. And I think it just goes with the whole book, The Choice, like the title, and I think I just think it's
Right.
like what her mom said.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like you said, at the end of the day, everybody has a choice of how they react to things, right? Her choice was to be free. Well, it was incredible that she looked at the soldiers and said they have no choice, right? They were just doing although that's another whole discussion. But at the end of the day, the way she had the choice to figure out how to deal with the atrocities that she was dealing with, that you learned from the book.
I think it's that you should be like very appreciative of what you have right now, because she had a wonderful life before she went to the camp, like before she went to Auschwitz. And like I think that that you should be very appreciative of what you have, because life can change really quickly. And I just, yeah, like, because even now that we're in COVID, you should be very appreciative if you have a house, if you have food, if you have like shoes even. It's just, yeah.
A lot of gratitude there. Absolutely. That's a great lesson. And you, in your presentation, did so beautifully. You mentioned quite a few others, and it's really an incredible recommendation.
But if they like want to like know stuff about the Holocaust, and they want to like try a new like type of style for a book, then yeah, I think I would recommend
Right.
to them.
But I think even further, I think, you know, people who go through a tough time might even find it very, might give them more strength to go through it, right?
Yeah.
The way she really suffered and went through a lot, you know, her choice really made her survive.
Mm.
I think it could be very comforting and strengthening to people, encouraging people to be able to get through whatever they're going through as well.
Mm.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. I think you're an incredible young lady, and I'm sure this is just the beginning of your journey as you become bat mitzvah, and I'm sure we'll hear much more from you in the years to come. So thank you for being our very first youth to recommend a book to our NLTV TV.
You're welcome.
Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too.
Oh, there's clearly a young leader in the making. Well done, Amelie. And we expect to really see amazing things from you in the years ahead.
Absolutely. And you know, the main, you know, lesson I think from the choice, actually, you know, from the title itself, you can hear it's all about, you know, you can get hit with so many things, and for a young person to realize that, I mean, maybe not so young, but you know, as you get older, you really recognize that you can't control things that happen to you, but you can control how you react to them. And that is a choice. And that's a choice that Edith was able to, you know, obviously extreme situation of the Holocaust, to be able to get through it. And it's a great lesson for all of us to be able to handle. So thank you, Amelie. And we go over now to another young youth in our community. Well, she's almost teenager. We have Lexi Hudaly, who just has an acting role now with the play of Leopoldstadt in the West End.
That's amazing. How old is she?
She's just 10, if not, May 11. 11. She probably
Amazing.
just turned
She's
11.
Just finished year 5.
Just finished year 5. And let's go over to Lexi to hear about her choices that she made. Welcome, Lexi Hudaly, to NLTV TV. Thank you so much for joining us. And you know, the reason I invited you over here is because you got an incredible part right now in the play at Leopoldstadt in West End. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
How did that come about?
I'm in a Sylvia Young agency, so I get put up for lots of auditions, and this one I got.
That's amazing. How do you feel about it?
Good and excited.
Can you believe that you're going to be in the West End? It's unbelievable that we know somebody. We have quite a few actors in our community, which is wonderful. But I don't know, not so young. We're very exciting to have you as part of the West End team. So tell us a little about. So we know it's a Holocaust play, and what's your part?
I'm Sally and Mimi.
Okay, so you play 2 different
Yeah.
girls in the play. Okay, and are there a lot of lines to memorize? Yeah, so is that what you're going to do over the summer?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had a choice to either do the play or to go on holiday, but I decided to do the play.
Wow. She gave up her holiday to be in the West End. That's amazing. Wow. Well, you know, with all the COVID cases, I think, I don't know if any of us are going to be going away, so I think you made the right choice. And so when did it start? When did the first play come out?
It starts August the 7th.
August the 7th is your first showing.
I don't know if it's my first showing. It would be one of the groups.
One of the groups, okay. So we're very excited to see that. We know it's a very, we heard great reviews, and I'm sure you're going to be great. we saw the advertising already all running up and with your name on it, and we're like, we know her. It's very exciting. And what do you see planned for the future? Do you have a play that you want to be able to? Do you have something that you say, oh, I wish I would be in that play? Or are you just taking it day by day?
I'm just taking it day by day.
Just seeing how it goes all together. So do you have any acting in your family? No, you're the first one. You just decide you love drama and you just went with it. Okay, awesome. I know there's a lot of drama in your class, right? We won't go there. So we're very excited for you, and we know that could be the first of many, but you were here first on Norris Lee TV, Lexi, and when we see you in maybe even Broadway in New York, we'll say that she was here first, and we wish you lots of luck, mazel tov, and very excited for you, and we're going to be cheering you on in the West End. Check out the play of Leopoldstadt coming out in August. Check out and root for Lexi. Mazel tov. So can you believe that? She gave up her holiday to work on the play.
That's very impressive.
It's very impressive. I mean, it's a lot of effort that she's going to give. We know that any work that one wants to be successful, you have to put a lot of work into it. So it's
go out and see her, support her, but really enjoy. Now we are able to go out and enjoy the theatre once again.
So talking about plays, we have our own Adam Bass here.
Yes, Adam is a child actor star. We have a couple of child actor stars in our community, and Adam is one of them. But now Adam has moved on to producing or executive producing plays.
Right, but he also performs in our Purim play, don't forget.
Well, what's more important than that? I mean, that is after you get from Broadway and West End, the next stage is the Purim play. And so Adam is actually executive producing a play of 12 nights taking place right in our backyard. Let's talk to Adam.
Welcome, Adam Bass, to Norris Lee TV.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
Yeah.
My second favorite place on the internet.
What's your first? We won't go there. Okay, only kosher sites he views, right? So you finally made it here on Norris Lee TV, as a young star here.
Well, I had some acting experience when I was a lot younger, and I guess that's what's drawn me into trying to put on some theatre locally to get people into going out again and doing something fun.
Right. So we're out here in the amphitheater in Littleton Park. I don't know if many of you have seen this. If you have little kids, you've come here. You can see the handprints of some of our local members that supported this park. It's really amazing. And so you have done a few plays here before.
Yeah, I mean, from 2008 to probably 2013, a team of 13 local people, a lot of people who are members of Norris Lee, helped to redevelop this playground, which was in a pretty sorry state before then. And the last piece of that work was to put on Romeo and Juliet here in this amphitheater, and some people may remember it was very well attended. And so when the theatre troupe contacted me 2019 to say we'd like to put on another show, I thought, why not? Because we hadn't done one for a while and we built this lovely facility. So now we're putting on Twelfth Night here on the 25th of July, 7:00 p.m. Tickets still available.
Oh wow, that's amazing! Okay. 12th night.
12th night.
It's not connected to Christmas or anything, right?
I think there may be some connotations with regards to the 12th night of Christmas as a night of celebration, but the whole play has nothing to do with Christmas.
So what is tell us the plot? It's the Shakespeare.
It's a Shakespeare story, and a lot of people will be put off by Shakespeare. They'll think, forsooth, I cannot understand this, even. But actually, the actors make it very accessible. It's the story of a shipwreck with Sebastian and Olivia washing up in an island and not knowing that they both survived the shipwreck. One concealing her identity as a man. Oh. The other
like a Yentl.
Like a Yentl.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
There's a Jewish connection. There always is.
It's a little comedy. It's a romantic.
It's a romantic comedy. Right. If you did it for O level, you'll remember it better than I did. If you can remember what O levels are.
Exactly. And where are they performing? Just in front here?
They'll be performing to this audience in the round. Lots of dramatic actors will be using in front of the amphitheater as a stage, and then playing into this crowd here, which will be sitting beautifully and well behaved on this lovely amphitheatre on Sunday the 25th.
25th, 7 p.m. So where can we get tickets?
You can get tickets from Eventbrite if you search for the event, and you can get a discount of 20% if you use the code LOCAL20.
Local20.
But tickets are selling fast, you need to get in there.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for giving us this, bringing us this opportunity to the community. It's really something special, and we look forward to seeing it.
We look forward to hosting it, and hope you can make it.
All right, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Did you ever think that amphitheater gets used?
Well, I know my kids run around on Shabbat afternoon.
Right. It's so.
We tried doing Perek in the park.
But we look forward to seeing that play. Yasher Koach, Adam, and thank you for bringing art into our backyard.
Yeah, speaking of parks, you went to see a park this week.
Yes, I did. Amazing. We have the Northway Gardens just through the pathways there, and there's a section called the Rose Gardens. And I went over to talk to Brian Ingram, who takes care of that. He's not a member of the shul. He's a longtime member of the Hampstead Garden Suburb area community. So let's go over to speak to Brian.
Welcome, Brian Ingram, to Norsley TV.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you all here.
So Brian, I understand that you are the man behind these beautiful roses here. This is we're in Northway Gardens, yeah. Right? Right behind the synagogue, right behind the shul. And this area here is called Rose Gardens.
Rose Gardens, that's right.
It's amazing, so I run here very often, and sometimes we're on the other side, so we don't really get to see the beauty of it. But this is really amazing work. And so are you from the suburb originally?
Yes, I've been in the suburb since 1974, 73, say.
Quite a few years.
In fact, the story we tell is my wife lived in the suburb. We were living in Hampstead, and we weren't sure where to move to when we got married, and I cycled down Oakwood Road, and then I cycled back through the Rose Gardens. This is 73, say.
Right.
And I was so impressed that I decided to buy a house in the suburb rather than Hampstead.
Amazing.
Just like that.
Just because of these
beautiful. Because this is, unique. It's always been unique, and I think you've seen the picture of my wife's grandmother.
Oh yes, you sent it to me.
Now, how bizarre is that?
Right, right. So you've been here quite a few years,
yeah.
And you came here because of these gardens, because of the neighborhood.
Literally.
And so you took ownership of it. So that's amazing. Since when have you been involved with this work?
The gardens were abandoned about 40 years ago. And we used to walk by, because the playground was also about, the Oakwood Road playground was left.
Okay.
And it was gradually being cut down. Every year it was rotting away. And we were coming here with our kids and so on as they used the playgrounds. And then it got to the point where we'd all stand around with our dogs looking at this and saying, what on earth is going on? Who's in charge?
Right.
What is this? Yeah. So we made a representation, try and find out who was it. And, a lot of people just didn't want us to do anything. Politics and all this.
Right.
So don't get me started.
No,
so
we won't go there. Because we're a family-friendly show, no politics.
So we started in 2014.
Yes.
In October, November, and it literally rained all the time. Don't ask, so it was constant.
Yes.
And what we had to do was bring in thousands of bags and tons of soil, because these beds were empty and rock hard. They'd been weed killed for 30 years, and you couldn't put a spade in.
Really?
You
wow.
couldn't dig it. So we had to bring in all the soil in order to be able to plant things.
Wow.
So
you really literally had to start from scratch.
Literally.
Unbelievable. So where do you begin? Like, where did you start? Like, I know it's along the whole way.
Very interestingly, what we found, because obviously Barnard had been in charge for years, and originally, these gardens were 1903, 1904, and there were 4 gardeners did full time from here to Northway.
Wow.
To Kingsley Way.
To Kingsley Way. So right. So let's just clarify. So Northway Gardens go from Addison Way all the way to Kingsley Way.
So
okay.
we call this Northway, and then the other side between Northway and Kingsley Way we call Fletcher's Gardens, just so to differentiate.
Okay.
We chose not to have all roses because all roses is just not everyone wanted roses.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to ask you. It's called the Rose Gardens, but we see more than roses here.
Well, because we were afraid initially that there might be rose disease and all this. You know, they may not. Because what we want to know from a management point of view is why did it die off?
Right.
So we don't want to just make the same mistake. So what we learned is there are lots of things which spread. So low maintenance plants.
Like this one here. This
for example here. This is lady's mantle, alchemy at something or other. And we gradually came across plants that we liked.
Right.
And we then felt confident.
This is right, because this is a beautiful one. Yes. I love the color on that.
Now we don't know what that is.
Okay.
Because sometimes we were given things. We went to someone's garden and they said, "Oh, have this." So, plants are not children. The worst that happens is it dies.
Right.
Right. So it's not the end, or it's not
right,
to become a delinquent or get screwed up. So the worst that happens is we cut it down or take it up.
You cut it down and you take it up. Wow. So what does it cost you to take care of this on an annual?
It's about £3,500 a year.
A year, okay.
Which sounds a lot, but
it doesn't sound a lot at all. I mean,
because our gardener £80 to do our garden.
Right, for sure, and because a lot of it is based on volunteers. I mean, obviously not the cutting of the shrubs, but
we have different volunteers over the 7 or 8 years we've been going, because people's interests change. So some people wanted it up and running, others want to keep it managed. Yeah, some just want to come in the summer and just prune the roses.
Right.
Yeah? So there's something for everybody. We've got, see this? So when you talk about true low maintenance,
yes,
this is Persicaria something or other, and it's lovely. That's what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
A finis, Persicaria finis.
Is this okay?
And it will just spread. If we left it, it would spread forever.
Wow.
Now at the moment we haven't touched it. So the difference is this is in the shade. Can you see in the front there? We got it again.
Oh yeah. So are we allowed to walk on the grass?
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So people are allowed to walk on the grass here, take a look, and I see you have some supporters. These signs. You have sponsors.
Well, we try and get sponsors, community businesses.
Right.
So. And we put, and one of the things is we put up their
sign
here,
right,
and we say, well, we'll give you a plug in Suburb News,
right,
to show that you're helping. And this is
right, absolutely, useful. Yeah, that's great.
Mainly though, we rely on residents' donations. That's individual people.
Okay. So you're having a fundraising campaign, they could.
Yes, once a year.
Once a year you do this, right? Just Giving. We're going to put that up. Just Giving at crowdfunding Northway Gardens.
Organization, yeah, that's just the way it runs.
Thank you very much. This is really, again, an amazing project you did here. You really took, apparently, something. We had some of the photos that showed what it was and how you blossomed this and brought so much life into this world. So thank you, and it should continue to give you blessings.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's good to get out in nature, and it's good to see such fine weather that we've been having. All these bobbermeisters about English weather. We think it's fabulous over here.
We do have gorgeous Hashem's nature around us, and we should take advantage of it. I think that's one thing that COVID has shown us, that just enjoy your own.
Appreciate our own backyard.
Exactly, and I know a lot of people are doing what they call the staycations, are going around England to visit their own country to see what beauty they have.
A new definition. I think our Prime Minister is almost having a staycation right now at his own home.
Well, hopefully all these self-isolations will be removed and everybody will be able to really embrace each other once again and have an enjoyable summer wherever you may be.
Yeah, we're entering Freedom Shabbat. Today's Freedom Day. I think one of the most important things that we can emphasize is we have the freedom we talk about the 3 weeks being about sinat chinam, free hatred, and the solution to redemption being ahavat chinam, free love. And freedom means loving one another, respecting one another. You're going to come to shul this week. Some people are going to be wearing masks. Other people are going to have chosen not to wear masks. And what's important is that we respect and tolerate everyone's decision. whatever that is. Not looking askance at anyone. That's our true freedom, the ability to respect one another, no matter the choice.
And with that, we wish you a wonderful week.
Yes, have a wonderful summer. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we look forward to seeing you all very soon.
In the new season. All the best.